Hello everyone, how are we all doing? I'm Mark Suxford and welcome to my podcast, People Behind Brands. Brought to you by Making Websites Better. In each episode, I'm joined by an inspirational guest to hear more about their life lessons and how it's shaped them into who they are today. To never miss an episode, subscribe to exclusive content now and follow us on our social media platforms. People Behind Brands, life lessons from the world of business.
Not sell product. What we're going to do? I'm going to have really hard conversations with people and be like, we either continue and the company completely fails, or we shut the company down, stop operations in terms of product, and save the business. That was one of the hardest periods of time. And I was like, okay, there's been many times, probably over the last 2 years, that I thought this was going to fail. We're this close to failing.
As the founder of Pleese, a leading frozen dessert company, Joe Moruzzi has a keen eye for business success. The brand thrived on Dragon's Den in 2018, positively received by the 4 expert judges. However, with his knowledge of business, he turned down the judges' offer and ventured independently. The decision turned out to be brand defining. As a pioneer of his industry, Joe's story involves blood, sweat and tears to make the brand become what it is today. It's certainly one to be admired in the current climate. Joe talks about testing times, including when he pivoted the business essentially starting again, when he took on the tough task of rebranding and exploring a new business direction. This is a man that takes calculated risks, but as we learn in today's episode, it doesn't always come up tasting so sweet and full of goodness. Anyway, enough from me. Let's see what this incredible man in business has got to say for himself. Joe, welcome to People Behind Brands, mate. A pleasure to have you with us. How are you doing today, sir?
Yeah, good, mate. How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, mate. No problem. Pleasure to have you. So, very well, thank you. I was just going to ask you where you join us from today, if you're with your Jazzy shirt.
I'm in HQ down in Red Hill. So we've got this office space, kitchen downstairs, or was the kitchen downstairs. This is the content kitchen where we used to do social media and all our class and things like that. So yeah, big unit, which we're exiting actually. We're leaving in a few weeks after 3 years of being here. So this is where everything's been built. So
yeah, excellent. Yeah, so Joe joins us today to discuss his all-important life lessons and front-end the mouth-watering frozen cheesecake brand Pleese. Podcast sponsor Making Websites Better have been working with Joe and his team recently on a new website as the Pleese brand enters a new era and continues to grow. On today's episode, we explore how the brand has evolved from humble beginnings and explore the trials and tribulations along the way, including Joe's appearance on Dragon's Den in 2018. So, Joe, what better way to start than at the beginning of the journey? So how does one go from a painter and decorator to a cheesecake connoisseur?
So I think it starts earlier than that. I think I was brought up. My dad's Italian. I've been brought up around food, good quality food. Love home cooking, love fresh food, love really good ingredients, and that was instilled to me at a young age. I've been around it for a long time. Never did anything with it at an early age, but kind of always been a really, really big foodie. Love food. Always exploring new flavors. Love trying new things. And look, I've done many things in my 35 years I've been alive. I left school at 16, and I went into I experimented with various things. So I was heavily involved in sport at a young age and played squash for my county and was doing coaching. And then I was a lifeguard. I then fell into landscape gardening in my early 20s or just before my early 20s. And then I explored actually becoming a stuntman, one of the professions that I just was really sort of intrigued by. And I started training for the stunt register, and during the disciplines, you have to do 6 different disciplines to get to the register. Unfortunately, you have to fund that, and that's when I fell into painting and decorating to support this, and it just kind of fizzled out that sort of me trying to become the stuntman. So painting took over, and I became a painter, and I worked for someone. And I was progressing, I was getting better, and I was quite good at painting. I was a hard worker, grafter throughout, and I set up my own company with my business partner Brendan back in the day, and that kind of grew. It grew to we were having 10, 15 guys working for us. We were doing big apartment blocks, footballers' houses, and I just even then I knew that I just wasn't super passionate about it. And that's when in late 2016, early 2017, I'd been making these cheesecakes that my dad had made like a couple of years prior. And I was bringing them to site, testing out, and I got to this point in 2017 where I thought, look, I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna set up an Instagram account, and I'm gonna try and sell 4, 5, 6, 7 cakes a month. That was it. That was my sort of target, bit of extra cash on the side of the painting company, and it kind of took off from there. And I was thrust into the deep end, didn't know what I was doing, no experience in the food industry, no experience growing a food brand, no recipes, no supply chain, no health and safety, no facility to operate out of, nothing, literally nothing. And it was just kind of this whirlwind launch, this overnight, instantaneous transition from painting. I was painting one day and I'm making cheesecakes the next day, and it was a crazy time. But I just knew straight away that there was an opportunity. The social media was very organic back then. You could grow quite organically on the platforms. I knew there was something special about community building and the fact that there was a demand for the product. So I capitalised, and I honestly don't know how I stuck at it, because that first year was the most tested, one of the most testing years. There's been testing years throughout, but the most testing year. Gave up earning fairly decent salary, chucked myself into a load of debt, credit card debt, to build this brand, and the rest is kind of history. We're here now, and it's still early days, but we've gotten through some really sort of gnarly moments, and there's some really exciting things on the horizon.
Wow, that's quite the backstory you've got there, isn't it? Yeah, from very sort of humble beginnings right through to obviously where you are now. But before we come on to more of that, I mentioned earlier that you appeared on an episode of Dragon's Den a few years back. So, I mean, tell us about that experience particularly, and what happened in the den.
Yeah, so that was in 2018 actually. It's the second year of business, second year of operating, and we were actively looking for investment. So I was going out to just my network of people at the time, and it was just coincidence that one of the producers on the program, Ben Davies, who's still in contact now, is great, got in contact and said, would you like to come on the show? So we had to pull together like a load of paperwork to show that we're legit. They check out that you're not just coming on for a PR stunt.
Yeah.
And so I got invited on in February, filmed in June of that year in 2018, but it didn't air until the September. And it was one of the, I say that I've done scarier things since, but like it was just because it was so out of my comfort zone at the time. I'd only been in this business for a year and a half or whatever, and it was just so overwhelming, on top of trying to run the business where it's like chaotic and we're just doing everything and we're like working 22 hours a day, then shooting up to Manchester to have to film the episode. It's kind of it was kind of like intense, a really intense time. But you go there, you have to prepare your scripts and your pitch and stuff like that. We bought up products, we bought up a stand, I'll build your own cheesecake bar. And the odd thing about it is you never meet the dragons prior to going into the den. So you walk in, you walk to a little spot on the floor, and you start pitching. There's no take or cut. It's just one take. And I was stood on the spot for 2 hours. I was in there for about 2 hours in the den, getting grilled by the dragons. And it was they cut it down, they condense it down to like 10 minutes when it goes out onto the TV. But really, really good feedback. It was just early days. I think it was probably too early for because we couldn't reach a lot of people around the country. But it was still a great experience. It grew our following, it grew our community further, grew our reach. I got an offer from Tug Suleiman, which was even back then was a pretty rubbish offer. I think it was like 50 grand for 35% of the company. So 50 grand wouldn't have gone far, and 35% is obviously like a chunk of equity out of the company at that stage. So stuck to my guns and declined the offer, walked away, never met them again, never spoke to them after. And we just cracked on, So it was one of those weird experiences when you're just in the midst of like running the business. So it's just so chaotic all the time. We're like production, doing this, doing an event, going over here, Dragon's Den, back to production. Like it was just one of those things that kind of just slotted in. We just like carried on. It was just a really busy time. And raising money and raising capital is just in general, even at any stage of the business, is time consuming, it's distracting, it's draining, and all that sort of stuff. So, but luckily off the back of that, got some real interest and got investment in, and that sort of got us to the next stage.
Yeah, well, it sounds like an amazing experience, even though you chose not to go through with the investment and stuff like that. But that's obviously some of those experiences have led you into sort of better fields now, really. So in recent years, you've essentially flipped the business model, formerly known as Pleese Cakes. So the story and the product itself has evolved since then, really. So talk to us about that particular journey and your lead product now, which is obviously Freeze Cakes.
Yeah, so I've launched with large cheesecakes, and I was making these large cheesecakes at home. It was really, they're all no bake cheesecakes, so it's real easy entry into the baking industry or the baking world. I wasn't trained, so there was no baking involved. It wasn't too technical. It was kind of like just a combination of flavors and products. So that was I launched with that. I overloaded them. They were very Instagrammable. Really really shareable, really visual, which is another reason why I think it got picked up on social media so quickly and got people interested in the brand and product. But soon identified that try to get one of those cakes across the country or even further was nigh impossible. We tried so many routes. We couldn't scale this. It was so delicate. They were getting smashed up. It was for an anniversary or birthday, and it was ruining people's days. So I had to look at other products that were more robust that I could get across the country that were easily manufactured. And we've made everything in house up until this year, so everything was made in house. Everything was very very handmade, so we would charge a premium, again sort of limiting us to scalability. But even just before COVID just like took a chunk of time out of our whole process, really, and probably a lot of people as well. But just before COVID, we were doing the mini cheesecakes. Freeze Cakes was an idea but never materialized, so we were actively looking to like diversify the product range and look at things that were product more robust and scalable. COVID hit, completely just had to settle for what we were doing. We had to production was crazy. People wanted home delivery, all that sort of thing was just kicking off. But it also gave us an opportunity because the events shut down to develop Freeze Cakes a bit further, just to bring another offer into the table. We developed that in-house, and it's a world's first frozen cheesecake in a tub. It's not a gimmick. It's not novelty. It's like really, it's a real good quality product, But we were making them by hand, So we were piping back, getting our cheesecake mix, putting a bit of cheesecake in there, bit in, then we'd put a bit of sauce in, a bit of crumb, do like that, put the lids on by hand, put them in crates by hand, put them in the freezer by hand, put them in the van by hand, and then distribute the van. It was just like obviously a very time consuming product. So to scale again. And that was where I was like, okay, look, I've got two options here. I can either scale up manufacturing, automate everything in-house, take on more staff, high risk, have to raise a ton of money for this, like probably like 5 million or something stupid like that to really scale up production to make it efficient. Invest in like health and safety accreditations that I couldn't achieve, or that would take a lot of money again to service the supermarkets. Or I go down the brand route. I build the brand. I focus on brand. I focus on NPD, like developing new products, being creative with flavors, and working and finding a third party, a partner essentially to scale up, who are established, who've got the factory already, who've got the health and safety accreditations that are required to supply the supermarkets. And that's what I did. But that was the next hurdle, obstacle, challenge in our journey, because Freeze Cakes is a world's first, so it's much denser than ice cream. It's thick, so it's not to put it through a production line is hard, So I went to ice cream manufacturers who could pot it, but they couldn't make it, the actual mix. And I went to frozen dessert manufacturers who could make it, but they couldn't pot it. So that was like, how do we get this into a production line? Like, how do we scale this up? That was really, really challenging. It's taken almost 2-3 years to bring to market. We found an incredible team, Ice Fresh, who are sort of the leading frozen dessert manufacturers in the UK, who've got various sites around Europe. And we've at the site Galana, which is in Belgium, based in Belgium, who are privately owned, husband and wife, just recently been taken over actually, but just like really invested in the idea, really invested in the brand, put in a completely bespoke production line specific for Freeze Cakes. And in the development process, then continue to try and get the mix and the product and Freeze Cakes through the line. And it's taken a long time to get here. So I'm waiting for someone to try and copy it. I think it's going to be quite hard to replicate exactly. But we're here, and Freeze Cakes is the first of like quite a few formats. It's in a big tub at the moment, but it's going to come in like mini tubs and sticks and loads and all sorts of things. So a really exciting time. But we're just launched into retail. 12 weeks in now, about 12 weeks into Carlton Waitrose, and it's just exciting. We don't make anything. I don't make anything. I feel a bit not lost, but like we're focusing on marketing and social media and engaging with the audience and building our community. So a very different business model now. I don't work weekends. I don't work late nights. I have some balance back in it. Whereas before it was just like 30 people here, like kitchen staff, logistics, like operations, admin. There was different departments, and I was trying to manage it. Plus be in production, plus do all the MPD, plus like social. Like it was just insanely overwhelming. Like, it was the most intense time. So we've gone from 30 people back down to 4 people only, plus extended partners and families, essentially, in our partners with Ice Fresh and Galana, and outside of that as well, who've helped build the brand and take it to where it is today. So exciting times, and I think that's the key with like small businesses, is being able to have that agility and ability to just change direction all the time and keep adapting to the environment around us and all that sort of thing. So we're still here. So
Yeah. Well, that's the great thing about it, is because it does take a lot of balls to do what you've done. I think, even when we discussed plans for the redesign of the company website, you mentioned you were chasing the big supermarkets to consider your product being available on the shelves. So, tell us about that time and the challenges that came with that.
Yeah, so I've been through various websites over the years, and it's again been naivety has played a big part, I suppose. Like, the first website I did, it's all down to me. Obviously, I wanted something very bespoke where we could build and customize a cheesecake, where you could choose the base and the type of biscuit, and then the inclusions in the base, and then the filling, and then all that sort of stuff. And it was just like super complex, super bespoke, super it couldn't change much, very costly to change. So I went through that, and then I went through another website, and it just wasn't fitting for our brand and product offering. And then obviously I've been working with MWB, who have just been just on the ball in terms of our brand as well, and how we get our message across to our audience, the look and the feel of it, the ease of use, the animations and stuff like that. And I think that's played a real big part, especially on the rebrand as well. We've done this rebrand whereby everything was done in-house previously, and then we've sort of worked with an agency to really bring the brand to life and really refine it and just get that feel. And now there's that. We never had that continuity throughout the website, our previous websites. And now it's just running now, and it's it has the ability to now be expanded. I'm really excited to get to expand the website further, because we're essentially just this one page at the moment, but there's loads of ideas with ambassador sections and more things for community, which I think is going to be really important. So everything that is essentially our business card at the moment on the website. It's got our store locator on there as well for all our stores, Co-op and Waitrose, which literally you just type in your postcode and it takes you to that store if it's got stock and stuff like that. So yeah,
really great. Good. Yeah. No, we've really enjoyed working on the project anyway, as you know. But
there's more to come, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, without a doubt. You've mentioned obviously the team, partners that you work with and stuff like that. But like any good team, it's just not you. In the sense, it's not just been on your own. So you've had that kind of the team, making that kind of inner workings in a sense. So for a successful brand. So tell us about the team behind the Pleese group, and who makes that essentially possible, really.
Yeah, I suppose there's three sort of different pillars to the team. So there's board level. I've got investors and board level. So I've got some really, really good people on the board. So I've got people that have worked in other brands that have built to really, really sort of large, sort of $100 million valuations in the UK and abroad. And I've got some really really creative business people at that level. The property developers, but that have been in the food industry before. And my FD Koresh, he's an accountant and he's an investor as well. So at that level, there's some just really good minds, like a soundboard that's really sort of supporting me and just guiding me a little bit, sort of keeping my imposter syndrome at bay a little bit, So they're on board, they believe in me, which is really sort of reassuring. Then there's the internal team. So as I said before, it went from 30 people down to 4, and I've got 3 people who, there's 4 people including myself, but that have been with me for a long time. So Sam, director of operations, who's been with me since day one, so 6.5 years. I've got Dan, who's been with me almost 4 years, who's head of content, and Laura, similar time, and she's head of creative. So a small team. And then the third pillar is our external partners, like MWB, like Ice Fresh, like Galana, like Zap, the creative agency who helped do the rebrand. They're the important ones. These are the people that have got very specific skills that we can essentially scale without these guys. So there's these 3 pillars to the team, and I consider all these people part of the team, and they all play different roles, and they've helped us get to where we are today. So very great, forever grateful. It's incredible how many people have been and continue to be involved in the company to grow it. Yes, I do social media, and a lot of the time it's just me on social media or Dan or someone, but there's actually so many people behind the scenes working away, inputting creatively, financially, whatever it is. There's so many people involved, and it's just it's crazy to think, you know, like 6 years ago I was painting decorator on the floor, rubbing down some skirtings, like on a dirty cold site with no windows, and the wind's blowing in the winter, and I'm like just covered in dust and shit. And then 6 years later, we've got this incredible team, this brand stocked in supermarkets, working with some incredible people. It's just it's mad sometimes to step back and have a look at it.
Yeah, well, I think you have to go through those experiences to really appreciate, obviously, where you are now and where you've come from. So, you know, it's only a good thing. But when you talk about, you know, the team, you know, the external teams, you know, I think some of it is that it does come back to you and your journey in that sense. So you've had a lot of courage to obviously pivot the business and essentially kind of start all over again. But, you know, explain us, you know, the thoughts going through your mind at that time. So it couldn't have been easy, you know, obviously rebranding and, you know, having that kind of massive risk really factor going along. So just talk to us about that kind of area.
Well, I think there was some the first year was crazy. Like 2017 was crazy. Like we did some incredible things, but it was like a blur. It was really intense, stressful wise, like, but not like to the fact that I was maybe as committed. I was obviously fully committed because I was putting in the hours, but it wasn't like, it was so early doors. I just had no expectations at that stage. I was like, I don't know where this company is going to go. I'm just going to give it my all. I was going to just put everything into it. Just go just go mad for it. Basically, in recent years, like, I'm really passionate about this. I'm really believing this. I really want this to work. So it's a different level of like stress. It's like I need it to work kind of thing. You know, it has to work. We put so much time and effort into it, and I think off the back of COVID, like really busy in COVID because everyone was at home, had surplus cash, coming into off the back of it with inflation and the supply chain issues because of the war and recruitment issues and like a ton of stuff that was going on that was just like putting a ton of pressure on the company. And I suppose from early 22 throughout 2022 was like this, and it still is, I suppose, in any business. And if anyone admits differently, then I think they're lying. But business, or especially startups, it's like a knife edge. Like you're on a knife edge of like failure and success. Like you're like this, balancing all the time. You're so close to both all the time, but more so towards failure in 2022. It's just such hard pressure. People were had a few people leave, and then actually. I was like, everything was costing too much. Butter was going up double, cream was going up double, cheese was going up double. Our margins were getting tight, making it in the house because it was so inefficient, because it was so handmade. And I was like, okay, we're gonna have to really try and, like, I know we were outsourcing. I knew this year we were outsourcing, so I had that long term vision still there. I knew that was going on, but in the interim, I was like, okay, we need to cut down our product range. We need to try and think of something. So the strategy was to keep Deliveroo on, like, not just cut D2C, basically Deliveroo, Selfridges, and Amazon Fresh stores. So like small, like B2B stuff, just to keep us ticking over. And then we looked at the margins again, and we're like, this is not working, man. Like still got staff, I've still got kitchen staff, and I was like, this is like the worst situation, because I know now what we're gonna have to do is shut down, like physically shut down, not sell product. What we're going to do, like, I'm going to have really hard conversations with people and be like, we either continue and the company completely fails, or we shut the company down, stop operations in terms of product, and save the business. You know, that was one of the hardest periods of time, you know. Like, and I was like, okay, there's been many times probably over the last 2 years that I thought this was going to fail. Like, we're like this close to failing. And yeah, that was a real tough time to have to shut down, not knowing that what was going to happen in that time. I think it was about a 6-month period where we were just not selling product. So from March this year to like October the previous year, like, we just weren't selling product. There was no revenue coming into the business, zero revenue. Like, there was such a big, and we'd just taken on, we were just been crowdfunding. So it was either use that money to keep operating a negative margin, and risk our investors' money and shareholders' money that they put in, or try and be strategic, shut down, get us to March to retail launch and get retail going, you know. So some really big decisions that we've had to make over the last year or two to keep us going. And I think that's just made us more resilient. and just built our character even further, just to be like, okay, anything you chuck at us, we can try, we'll take it, kind of thing. So really mentally as well, you know, like I actually like it was I don't know if it was around that time I was sitting at my desk, and I was like on the phone, just like very normal, like on my computer, and I just started feeling really odd. I just like started getting and I thought I was having a heart attack. I thought I was about to die, like, and I collapsed, and I was actually having a panic attack. I thought I was having a heart attack, and Dan actually took me to the hospital down the road.
Wow.
And that was obviously a knock-on effect of the stress levels that was happening within the business, you know. And it was quite eye-opening to see how far I'd pushed myself. And you don't see that on social media. No one really knows about that. Like, I don't really talk about that too much. And I think maybe I will do. You know, there hasn't been the right time, but that's going on in the background, and that's going on to like a ton of business owners. You know, like having a panic attack sounds like if you've never had a panic attack and you speak about it, you go, oh, that sounds like a bit stressful, but not that bad. You literally feel like you're about to die. You feel like your heart is going to pop, and it's like the worst feeling, you know. But once you know it's a panic attack, you kind of like what's the word? You like it puts everything into perspective a little bit, but you're in control a little bit more. But like still, at the time, it was super stressful, you know. So yeah, I've put myself out there a little bit, and I think that's part of it. And it's become far less stressful now. You know, like we're in a great position. We don't make the product anymore. The team's much smaller. I don't have to manage people now, and it's just slowly building now. We're like almost like rebuilding again, and just trying to engage more and just focus on really key aspects of the business with marketing and engagement and sustainability, and just trying to build like from the ground up again, kind of thing.
It must be quite nice actually when minus obviously October through to March, but it must be quite nice sort of reliving the journey a little bit, because obviously you built the journey already when you first had like sort of Pleese case essentially, but having that Pleese element now, that's rebuilding the journey, isn't it? So I guess it kind of goes back to square one, but you've got more experience. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned a ton over the years, like loads, and I think the old cliche is you've got to fail to learn or fail to progress. You either win or you learn, don't you? So there's definitely been a lot of learnings along the way, and I think the rebrand and like just it felt like a bit of a fresh start, although it was really stressful at the time. It just felt like fresh, different, new. Okay, this is something that we can probably get stuck into, and it felt refreshing to have new challenges in front of me, and also have more resource, you know, like everything previously was just done like in-house, and we didn't have the external partners working with us, you know. So it's just been nice to refocus and just build some balance back into the daily life, really. You know, it's still stressful, you know. It's startup, we're still on that knife edge. We haven't made it yet. We're not a big conglomerate. We're not turning over millions. We're still building the company and the brand. I've just been ringing around stores today in Co-op, and like on our store list, like we get data, and it's like some of the stores aren't performing. And I call up some of them, and they're like, we don't even stock it. Like, and so there's all that merchandising that we're still doing and trying to like just get ourselves established in retail, you know. And it's not easy. It's not like you just get stocked in Co-op and everything starts going. We're in areas that people don't know us outside of our social media, and I think that's again like eye-opening. Like, I didn't really realize that. You think, okay, put it into store and it kind of should sell itself, but actually someone in like the Highlands of Scotland or in Wales that have never seen us on social media, we got to try and convince them or reach them somehow to pick up the product, you know. So all these little details like social media, like having the great website, and the store locator is so key. We use social media to tie in with the website. Here's a link straight to the website. Here's a store locator. They can search it. So it's a case of just building it like that, you know. So, but yeah, fresh start, feeling good, exciting product.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you don't mind me saying, you sound very sort of self-assured in your quest, but also, you know, your decision-making process as well. So where do you think that actual sort of mentality or mindset comes from?
I don't actually know, because my dad's not really. He's been a grafter. My parents are both grafters. They both work really hard throughout their lives, but never been like super successful in like growing a business or doing a business. Just that always works hard and always work for their money and their living, you know. But in terms of like just like business and entrepreneurship and decision making, I've just got an incredible network around me. I've got some really, really good people that I learn off. I listen to podcasts, I read, I try and immerse myself in things that I'm interested in, and I think I follow my passion, but I think that's really key. You know, like it's really hard sometimes to say just go and do a job that you're passionate about. It's really hard to transition sometimes, but I really like food. I put myself out there. I took action. I combined my creativity and the food and set up an. It was the action taking that got me into this. You know, like no one else did that. I've got the notepad still on my desk of Pleese Cakes. I was writing down Pleese Cakes in December 2016, and I set up an Instagram account. I designed a logo on my app, on my phone, on Canva, and there was various things that I did action-wise that kind of kick-started it. And then it was a case of just building and putting it out there and surrounding myself with great people. And I learn and I fail and I make mistakes. My decision making is wrong sometimes, and then I learn again and I try not to make the same mistake twice. You know, so I think it's just a process that you go through that takes time. Nothing's overnight. I've learned. I'm very impatient. You know, I want to be here right now. I want to be doing this right now. I want to release this product right now. And I think I'm learning. I think it's probably a quality that I'm trying to learn, is just to be more and more patient and just like build. Nothing is overnight. Nothing's overnight. We keep building. We take small steps, incremental steps, and that's how we've got here today. I think it's just keep persistence. You know, I think that's such a key trait, attribute for any entrepreneur, business person to have. Is just this almost abnormal level of persistence. You know, like a lot of people just give up at certain milestones, or when something happens, they'll be like, "No, I'm done." And actually, I'm just programmed just to keep going. Just keep going. Okay, we failed here. We might lose, but we just keep going. We keep going, and that's it. It's a weird mindset. But yeah,
it's a great mindset to have, because as you say, some people would just kind of give up at the first hurdle, if you like. So it's credit to you, really. But you know, we've touched upon a little bit already about kind of the social media aspect of your business. So you know, you've got a great following on there, and it's only going to be, you know, build from there, really. So you know, why do you think that, you know, your brand has been so popular on Instagram?
Instagram was it started like D2C. So like I said, with the big cakes, very Instagrammable, you know, very visual. Social media's changed massively, and it's quite hard to grow on social media these days. And it's just, I think, I know I've spoken about this recently about, like, if you're new starting out social media, don't try and sell. Like, that's the worst thing you could do. Obviously at the start I had to sell, and it was just, even if you're a business, don't sell. Like, build community. That bring value. Recipes, the way we did it is recipes, tutorials, business tips, like engaging, like giving value back, giving advice. That's how you build community, you know, and then you can sell on the back of that. But you need to build trust with your audience. I think social media, we're built, like, our Instagram's quite strong in terms of community. TikTok's a bit of a different audience to us, but we can see some big numbers on there and reach. But it always goes back down to bringing value to the audience. You know, I think that's such a key element. And it's crowded. You know, social media's hard. Like I say, Instagram's hard. They want you to pay on ads and things like that. And it's hard to grow. It's a hard landscape out there. And it's the same with TikTok. Everything's a bit challenging at the moment. But it's all about adaptation and just. I've always got one saying: it's good content will be found. You know, if you're bringing out good content, whether you're paying, like, supporting it or not, or good organic content, if it's got value, people will engage with it. It's like if I gave you a free laptop or a free car, you're just going to say because it holds value. There's a value to that tangible product. It's the same with content. If it holds value, if it's going to benefit you in your life, you're going to engage with it and take it and save it and share it and like it and comment on it and stuff like that. And that's where you see growth. You know, so. It's a simple concept which people don't really get, but it's a good content will always be found.
Yeah, it's great content you put on there, you know, previously, but also now as well. So yeah, always enjoy seeing it. But I mean, in terms of kind of the product itself, so whether people found you through social media or just getting to know you now, I mean, what would you say to a new customer that's trying your product? What would you say is the USP, why it's better than maybe some of those already out there in terms of desserts already on the market in a Waitrose or a Co-op?
So Cheesecakes is the world's first frozen cheesecake in a tub. So it's not ice cream. It doesn't sit in ice cream. It sits in frozen dessert. And the product itself is between 35 and 40% cream cheese. So much denser product. So if you try it, it's obviously got it tastes like cheesecake. It's got inclusions through it. It's got a sauce through it. So much ice cream's like aerated. Some ice cream's like 80% air. So you're getting more value for your money, number one. Like, I don't know what the comparison is to a 99 flake now. A 99 flake I saw the other day, but a single 99 flake was like £4.50. I was like, what? But anyway, we're selling them £5 a tub, and it's like 350 grams or whatever. So you're getting way more for your money. But in terms of the category it sits in, frozen dessert, frozen dessert is a very dated category. So you get your viennettas, your apple strudels, your jam roly-polies. There's no innovation, no newness. And that is contributing to a decline in sales across all of the retailers. It's an aging demographic because of the product offering. It's very seasonal sales. So they're like Christmas time is where all the sales come from because of the offering. So we've gone into this category with a newer product, innovation, newness, attracting a younger demographic, hopefully like attracting people throughout the year rather than just seasonal sales, you know. So great opportunity to demonstrate that we're a valuable brand within frozen dessert in retail in the UK and further afield to see if we can change that, you know. I think that's really important. So it's not ice cream is our big slogan, and it's one of a few formats, you know. So yeah, there's lots of USPs to it. So there's nothing like it on the shelf really. I just want more people to try it.
Yeah, well, that's the main thing. So our podcast is founded upon honesty and how testing times have impacted, good or bad, on a personal level or working lives. So away from business, can you tell us about a challenging time in your life that made you who you are today?
That's outside of business. I think my dad's had a lot of illnesses over the years, and I think that's been a real sort of eye. Like he's been in and out of hospital for I don't know, the last 10-20 years now. Like he's had heart surgeries and strokes and all sorts of things all the time, and it's like there was some really sort of testing times where you're like, okay, is it gonna you don't know what's going on. It's quite, you're gonna lose him or not, and that's been quite hard watching his health sort of deteriorate over the years. You know, it's quite sad to see your parents get old and see them deteriorate. But yeah, specifically my dad, I suppose, because he hasn't been in great health for a long time. You know, so I suppose that's that, and he's taught me a lot. You know, I think he's that grafting element, like just being the grafter and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I think that's been quite tough. You know, but
So it sounds like you look up to your old man quite a bit then.
Yeah, he's like I say, he's taught me a lot, and both my parents have. They've never pushed me into anything. They've never told me what to do or said that you need to go to university or do this. They've kind of given me free rein, and it's been they've just always been supportive. You know, always supported myself and my sister in whatever we do. You know, and my mum was the delivery driver for Cheesecakes for up until 2022, I suppose. Like literally grafting her arse off every day, up sometimes at 4 o'clock in the morning, delivering all around the country for the business for pretty much no pay, you know. So that sort of just demonstrates their commitment to me and whatever I do, and Daniela, my sister. So yeah, brilliant, really, really supportive, committed parents, you know.
Yeah. So it's obviously clear to see that obviously continuing momentum is obviously on the business, involving lots of hours and drive views, as you kind of mentioned previously. But how much of an impact does that have on your personal life? So obviously you've got a young family and stuff like that. How much of a pressure is that?
I think it was previously, over the last 5 years. So this year has been much better because the fact we don't make it, you know, that has been such a weight off our shoulders, you know. So my work-life balance has become balanced, you know. Like previously it was a massive pressure on the relationship. I didn't have a kid back then, so my daughter Sienna's only she's going to be one in a week or so. So yeah. So over the previous 5 years, didn't have a kid, but still a lot of pressure, just working all the time. I went through 3 or 4 month or 5 month period of working 7 days a week, just every single day, flat out every single day, no days off, nothing. I have just been to Mallorca on a wedding a couple of weeks ago for 6 days, which is the longest time I've been on a holiday outside of the UK for the last 6.5 years. So it's having that time off at all. I think I went to Wales for a week last year or something like that. Prior to that, I haven't been away on a holiday at all for 5 years. You know, so that got on top of us a little bit. You know, financially, massive pressure because the first year I just got myself into credit card debt. That just didn't have a wage coming in. We were still building the business. Everything was going back into the business. Got myself into a load of debt. Got myself out of debt. Started to build up a little bit, but still don't take a great wage now. So financially, it was a pressure as well. And just the uncertainty, I suppose, you know, like just mentally, like the knock-on effect of the uncertainty in my mind, the knock-on effect of my attitude, my aura, my behaviour, I suppose, just had a knock-on effect. So massive, it has a massive effect on everyone around you, really. You know, so you've got to have a real strong network of people that really can put up with shit for periods of time, you know, and it is long periods of time building a business. It's not an overnight process; it's years. And they say about the 10,000 hours or 10-year sort of mark you need to master or something. And I think that's kind of where we're at. You know, we're 6.5 years in. We've still got 3.5 years to go, or whatever it is. So
yeah, well, dare I ask? I mean, do you actually have time to, you know, have any kind of hobbies or interests, or, you know, obviously with a young family as well, it's probably difficult. But it sounds like there's lots of things going on in your head from a business point of view. But do you actually get that sort of time to sort of unwind a little bit?
I love, as and when I can, I love training. I love going to the gym. I love like just trying to keep fit. That's something that I used to do a lot of sport when I was younger, and that's kind of like stuck with me. And I feel mentally as well, not only physically but mentally, that really helps me. So keeping fit, going to the gym, being active, that's really key. Also love just going out to eat, like having good food, being a foodie. Like I can't eat cheesecake all the time, so I love going to new restaurants, trying new foods, good quality food. You know, like that's something that I'm really passionate about. So anytime I can get out to a new restaurant or something that I've seen on Instagram or something like that, I try and get there. You know. With Ellie, my partner, and we try to do things like that. So yeah, just doing stuff, you know, getting out there. But in terms of like having a hobby, like sport hobby, or playing on a team or anything like that, I haven't physically got the time for it at the moment. So
yeah. No, Joe, look, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure to sit down with you today and go through, you know, work ethic, your brand journey, all sorts, really. So it's really good to sort of sit down and listen to all that. So thank you for your time today, more than anything.
No problem. Thank you.
So perhaps you'd like to tell everyone where they can find Pleese, either, you know, in store or online.
So in store, but I think the best thing to do is go to our website. Our new website is www.pleese.com, and there's a store locator on there. Waitrose and Co-op, 234 Waitrose, 660 Co-ops around the UK, one in Ireland, all over the place. So yeah, it's the website where you can find your nearest store.
Yeah, and they can also find you on Instagram as well, can't they?
Instagram, yeah. Please say Pleese on Instagram. Cheesecakes on TikTok still, but yeah, trying to work on that handle change.
Yeah, great, cool. So yeah, if you haven't already, please try the Pleese products. I highly recommend you do so and head to your local supermarkets. Try for yourself, obviously Waitrose or Co-op. So make sure you join us next time for a brand new guest as we continue with more life lessons from the world of business. Thank you very much, Joe.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
So that's it for this episode of People Behind Brands. If you like what you heard today, do yourself a favour, subscribe to our exclusive content now and follow us on our social media when you search People Behind Brands podcast or at podcast PBB. Join us next time for a brand new guest as we explore more life lessons from the world of business. We'll see you soon. Ta-da!